Hello again folks, and welcome to another screencast on Sports Society. This screencast will be discussing very briefly global sporting events. When we are thinking about global sporting events, we are looking at major events that cities or countries have to bid for. For example, the Olympics has a bidding system. The Football World Cup has a bidding system. The Winter Olympics, the Ryder Cup also has a bidding system in terms of the city that might host it or the country that might host it. And the Super Bowl would also come into this category, as each American state or part of a state might wish to host the Super Bowl. If we look at the most popular global sporting events, we can see they amass an incredible amount of people who view this event, either through various formats. So the main format obviously is television, but nowadays in the 21st century we've also got media streaming, and this can provide increased access to sports fans to watch these particular events. But a global sporting event will amass such high numbers that it can do massive impact to a particular country. So if you look at these numbers that are on the screen, the 2012 Olympics in London, there were 8.2 million people in attendance. That means people watching that particular sport. 220 nations had televised that event. That's an incredible amount of people watching one particular event. And as you go down the list, you can see the numbers. And in terms of the TV nations, that's the biggest impact as well, because it means more access and more exposure to people for those sports. So a global sport event can have a massive, massive impact in terms of developing a country, as we'll see. As we mentioned, cities and countries will bid in a process to attract a global event. The reason they do that is because it's quite a positive draw of having that event to a particular country or to a particular city. And they spend fortunes on it. We're talking billions of pounds. And some people may think, well, why spend that amount of money on such a massive event? There was big commotion about that in Rio because the country was poor as a national country, Brazil, but in particular Rio was poor because they had the favelas and issues to do with hospitals and public services that they probably could have spent that money towards those, but they chose to go for the Olympics. And there are particular reasons why cities and countries do this. The main reason is if it is done correctly, it can change an entire nation's ethos in terms of working ethos, not just sport, and it can also make that country extremely attractive to tourism and economic impacts to that particular area. In your notes, what you'll need to do is to discuss, if you were bidding on a global sport event, what are the impacts on the sport itself? What are the impacts for the people, the social impact? What are the impacts in terms of finances, the economic impact? And what are the major impacts for the political parties that are in power at the time when the games are being hosted? So the next 4 slides, there are lots of questions on each different slide that you'll need to use either the internet or your textbook, the OCR A-Level PE textbook, to search and find the answers and add a bit of depth to the information. So for example, if we start with sporting impact, as you can see, I've listed some questions on the left-hand side about what are the positive impacts of if I wanted to host a global sporting event like the Olympics, and what are the negative impacts socially, sporting-wise, on the Olympics being hosted in a particular country. So go through the questions one by one and add some detail to your answers. Pause each screen as we go. Here are the social impacts, the economic impacts, and finally the political impacts. If you make good and detailed notes across all 4 of those aspects, that will happily cover the issue of global events for OCR A-Level PE in terms of the Sport and Society syllabus. Once again, thanks for watching this quick screencast, and if you need any more support on OCR A-Level PE across any aspect, please head to the iSpeakpe channel on YouTube.